Love Doctor, Episode 016. Everything you wanted to know about semen, ejaculate, but were afraid to ask.
This is Dr. Charles Reynolds, inventor of the O-Shot, and thank you for joining Dr. Emily Porter, the Austin Love Doctor, as she openly discusses your most intimate questions regarding relationships, sex, and personal wellness through the eyes of a medical doctor who treats men and women for a variety of sexual issues using the latest medical advancements available. Get comfortable, relax, and welcome your host, Dr. Emily Porter.
Hey there, it's Dr. Emily Porter, the Austin Love Doctor, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about semen or ejaculate. I get a lot of questions about this. Everyone wants to know how to make it taste better, what's in it, how many calories does it have, all those sorts of fun things. And so hopefully I'll answer all those questions for you. And if not, then maybe some of my listeners will have some answers from their own personal experience. So first thing is, semen is what it's defined as when it's still inside the body. And then it becomes ejaculate when you ejaculate it. Ejaculation is a verb, and ejaculate can be a verb. And then ejaculate is a noun. It's pronounced just a little bit differently. And that's when semen is like expulsed from the body out the urethra. So the urethra is the tube that goes through the penis, parts of the penis, and then up. It's basically the collecting area for semen and sperm and all these fluids, as well as urine mixes in there, and then it comes out the hole at the end of the penis. So semen comes mostly from the prostate gland, and also from some anatomical things called the seminal vesicles, and it all kind of meets in the urethra and sort of dumps out. So how much semen is there actually there? I know probably those of us who have received semen feel like it's like a gallon, because just like when women think when we're on our period, we swear that we're like basically hemorrhaging, liters of blood. And in a 5 to 7 day menstrual cycle, women actually only have about 10 or 12 teaspoons of blood, but it sure feels like a lot more when you're the one who's having to deal with it. But for semen, it's the average amount of semen that's ejaculated is about 2 to 5 milliliters, which is roughly one half to 1 teaspoon. So it's not a lot, but when it catches you by surprise, it certainly feels like a lot. So guys, that's another thing. Unless you know the girl, don't do that without giving her a little bit of warning. Most women are happy to accommodate one way or the other, but they don't like to just have it be a surprise. So what all is in it? So obviously we feel like it's just sperm, and by volume, sperm actually only makes about 5% of the volume of semen, but there are a lot of them in there. So it can be anywhere from 15 to 200 million sperm per milliliter. So 2 to 5 times that number in the average amount of ejaculate. And it's there unless you had a vasectomy. So a vasectomy, what you're basically doing is you're still getting everything else that's in semen, but you're not getting the sperm. So you're cutting off the tube where the sperm comes from, the vasefrens. That's why it's called a vasectomy. So it cuts the tube. So men still make sperm, but the sperm just don't ever make it into the semen. And so lots of sperm. And the sperm actually change, the quality changes with age. So as men get older, over 50, that probably they have more abnormal sperm, and their semen volume might actually change as well. So you have your highest volume of semen and sperm when you're in your 20s. So there's hope for the women that are with the older men. And what else is in there? So semen contains lots of vitamins, but I wouldn't exactly go replacing your daily multivitamin because it's not a whole lot of calories. So it's got vitamin C, vitamin B12, calcium, citric acid, fructose, which is a sugar, lactic acid, magnesium, zinc, potassium, sodium, fat, a little bit of carbs. Mostly it's lots of protein, but the vast majority of it, like 90+% of it, is actually just water. And a teaspoon of semen might have like 5 calories, maybe. It's not a lot. So it should be keto friendly. It should be Whole30 friendly, friendly to your intermittent fasting. So that's not exactly a reason to not swallow, if that's your thing. So it smells gross, right? It smells like bleach, and kind of just like sour. And that's because the pH of semen it's basic, sort of like bleach. And the reason is because it has to be, you're protecting the sperm when they go through the urethra and into the vagina. So the urethra, the tube that the semen comes out and the sperm come out, has an acidic pH, but the sperm are very fragile. And so what happens is when you actually have pre-cum or pre-ejaculate, which doesn't really contain many sperm, it's really got a lot of basic pH to it. So it kind of comes out and sort of puts the pump and decreases the acidity of the urethra so that when you ejaculate, the sperm are in a more favorable environment so that they don't die as much. And then the vagina is more acidic than sperm as well. So what all the fluid does is basically it's like just protection and nutrients, sugar for the sperm, and then protection so that it won't die when it's coming out and going into the vagina and traveling up to meet eggs. So back to pre-cum again. So, or pre-ejaculate fluid. It doesn't really contain. It's not really supposed to contain sperm, but that doesn't mean that it might not. So it's kind of a reflex for men. It's not something that they can control. It can be sort of a sign of excitement, and it just kind of leaks out on its own. But I would not endorse the pull and pray method of birth control. Because I know I have at least one niece that's due to the pull and pray. So definitely don't count on, lack of sperm as being a reason to penetrate and pull out and think that you're not going to get pregnant. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. But that's what the pre-ejaculate is for. So back to like what all is in sperm or in semen besides sperm. So it really should be white, gray, or kind of clear in color. And if it's yellow or green, you need to see a doctor because that's an indication of an infection. Chlamydia is the most common STI that we see with men. Lots of them don't have symptoms. So if anyone ever has burning when they pee or abnormal smell or, discharge that's coming out of the penis when they're not ejaculating, we always check them for both chlamydia and gonorrhea. And honestly, we just treat everybody for both because they're very common and guys don't always have symptoms. So if they have symptoms of one, they almost always have the other. So you can also have reddish brown sperm or semen, and that's called hematospermia, which is a fancy name for basically blood in there. And what can happen is if you have a really strong, powerful ejaculation or a little bit of irritation for whatever reason, you can actually break a blood vessel, and you can have like a couple drops of blood that go out the urethra. And then when you ejaculate, it can kind of be red if it's fresh. And then if the blood has aged a little bit and oxidized, it would come out brown. Kind of like for a woman, her menstrual blood comes out kind of red, but then if it hits air, touches air, then it can kind of become brown. So that usually will clear in a day or two. So I wouldn't stress out if it happens like right away. But if you're still having like brownish red semen after a day or two, then it's definitely something you should get checked out by a doctor. Or if you have any other signs of an STI. So the biggest thing is everyone wants to know how to make it taste better, right? Like I've never heard anyone say that semen tasted so good that they just couldn't have enough of it. And so let's try to figure out how to make that happen. Basically, again, it's mostly water. So obviously water and hydration are going to be really, really important in everything that you do. It's just going to make you healthy in general. But then the question is, what things can make it taste better, if anything, and what kinds of things can make it taste worse and affect sort of the thickness of it. So since it's mostly water, the more hydrated you are, in theory, it would be more dilute. And if there were sort of an odor or a flavor, then it would be lesser. So having semen be more dilute is obviously going to make it less pungent. So guys, drink your water, 8 ounce glasses a day. That'll help. And then what sorts of things make it taste worse? Let's do that first. So drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, can make it taste bitter. Meats, dairy, and protein. So anything, there's already a lot of protein in there. And so if you eat more meat, dairy, and protein, you're going to make it taste more kind of saltier and more bitter as well. So what I'm getting at, guys, is that fruits and veggies and a healthy diet is going to be better overall for you. Overall for your health in general, but then also it's going to make your stuff more palatable. So the one I hear a lot is pineapple and fruits, pineapple, and especially kiwi as well. And yeah, they have a lot of fructose in them. So your seminal vesicles that make your semen, they're the only place in your body that make fructose, which is sugar that's found in semen. So it's the only place that you produce that. And yeah, it might help, but you have to eat a lot of pineapple or a lot of kiwi. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying if you eat like a couple pieces of pineapple, don't automatically hit your girlfriend or your wife with like, don't hit her with your load and not warn her that it's coming just because you had a slice of pineapple in your pina colada or whatever, because it's not going to make that much of a difference. And then cinnamon also can improve smell and taste. So, sucking on a mint or there's some drinks you can make that might help. This kind of varies person to person. Again, having it be dilute and drink a lot of water is probably the best thing that you can do. Avoiding meats and dairies and things and protein powder. And then veggies can also give kind of a smoother taste. So fruits and veggies, lots of vitamins, they're all good for health anyway. But there's certain vegetables that you might want to avoid, like asparagus, which can make your pee smell bad. And then broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, all those garlic, all those ones that have sulfur in them are going to make it not taste as good. But the reality of it is I wouldn't stress about it a whole lot. I mean, what it tastes like. I just would make sure that your partner is okay with you having it in her mouth. And that's a conversation that you probably should have. There's no better way to piss a woman off than to not let her know that's coming, because it's coming, but not everybody else does. And so definitely don't just catch her off guard if it's a new partner. The other thing is, can people be allergic to semen? And they actually can. It's really rare. It's not really the semen usually, but it's not the sperm. There's some proteins in there that some women can be allergic to. It's usually kind of where they could get some irritation inside the vagina if there's ejaculation that occurs inside the vagina, where they could get swelling or redness. But those proteins can cause that. I mean, it could happen in the throat. I don't think anybody ever died of it, but there's one case report of a woman who went into anaphylactic shock when her partner ejaculated in her mouth. And in theory, she could get her throat could kind of close off and swell up. The tissues there around the tongue, the uvula, and the breathing tube could kind of swell up. But really, really, really rare. More likely, if she has an allergic reaction, it's going to be to a food or an antibiotic that the partner ate. But again, it takes lots, and it's really, really rare. Other bad things that could happen with ejaculation is there's something called retrograde ejaculation. It's not super common, but when you make this sperm in your testicles, and then you make this seminal fluid, and then it all kind of mixes in the urethra, and the urethra goes through the prostate, which is a big gland, not big, but it's like the size of a walnut. It can get bigger as you get older. And then basically when you ejaculate, you have this contraction of these muscles in your pelvic floor, which makes the semen shoot out, which is ejaculation. So rather than it dripping out, usually it kind of squirts out, right? So as people get older, their prostate gland can get bigger, and it can kind of slow things down. Or if somebody had weaker pelvic floor muscles as they get older, or if they had prostate cancer and they had surgery down there, it can affect the nerves and make the muscles not as weak. And it's rare, but it's possible to get retrograde ejaculation, which basically means that you still ejaculate, but it doesn't actually come out your penis. It actually goes, it's as it's coming through the prostate, where the bladder comes, the urethra comes through the bladder, and then the urethra also comes through the prostate. And then they meet in what's called the penile urethra. And it's possible for somebody inside the prostate to actually ejaculate back up the wrong way. And the ejaculation occurs into the bladder. Which again, it's not dangerous. I don't think it's super fulfilling for a man. And if a woman's expecting it, then I guess it's not really fulfilling for her either. But that's something that generally happens with people who've had surgery or men as they get way, way older. I think that pretty much covers it. Again, like just drink a lot of water and be healthy, and be honest and communicate. I think guys like to see it. It's like the cum shots, like the money shot or whatever in porn. I think guys like to see it like squirted on people's faces and on their breasts or whatever. I just think you have to be respectful, and honest, and some women are into it for sure, but not everybody wants to have it in their face or in their hair, and it's kind of bleachy. So having it come in your face or in your eyes or in your hair, if you're not expecting it, is not really a great way to win somebody over. So that's what I would worry about more than worrying about what it tastes like, is worried about where you're putting it and whether the person who's receiving it is expecting it. And I think that will serve you way, way more in the long term than drinking a lot of water and eating a lot of pineapple and eating a lot of cinnamon and really worrying about what it tastes like. So if you have questions for me like this, be sure to shoot me an email at info@austinlovedoctor.com. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining Dr. Emily Porter, the Austin Love Doctor. If you have a question about your relationship or sexuality, please feel free to contact her directly at austinlovedoctor.com.